Captain Rick Rock TV. Let's get to the content.
Last night, I got a text from one of my buddies who actually owned a boat, and he said, Rick, if you are the operator of a boat, you own the boat, you are responsible for everybody that's on the boat. You're responsible who leaves the boat. They got to come back. That's your responsibility when you operating a boat. Now, we're going to get to that. One of Nolan Wells' friend could be charged for that exact crime. Nolan Wells didn't return back on that boat. We're going to get to that. We also got the young lady that was on the island with Nolan Wells. She finally speaks out. We're going to get over there and check out what she had to say. Let's check it out.
Nolan had a conversation with a young woman on the beach. His friends would later refer to her only as Katie. That's where the confirmed information stopped for a long time. Katie's identity wasn't in the first wave of coverage. It wasn't in the early statements from the family's legal team, while speculation online chased down pool parties and out-of-context video clips. The one person who may have spoken with Nolan last sat almost completely unidentified, unaware, most likely, that her name would eventually matter this much to strangers she had never met. Part of the reason traces back to the very first night he went missing, a night that for his mother must have felt like it stretched on without end. According to someone who was on the phone with Christine Wonsley as she tried to figure out where her son was, Katie's name entered the conversation almost by accident, mentioned as someone Nolan had wanted to stay behind with. And then came a detail that made an already terrifying night considerably worse.
All right, let me stop there. So, again, Nolan Wells stayed behind with her. Let's just say he did stay behind with her, right? I'm going to catch the next boat. I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm going to chop it up with this female, this young lady. This young lady who he spent time with, supposed to had stayed with, why she didn't see him walk off anywhere? Where did he go after the conversation with her? Did she get a ride back on somebody else's boat? Who did she ride back with to get back to land? So after he spent time with you, talking with you, what was the last thing that he said to you? Is she going to talk about that? Let's hang around and see.
Word that Katie herself might be missing too, with nobody on that call able to say who she actually was, or where to even begin looking for her. Picture that moment for a second. A mother already searching for one missing child, suddenly told there might be two. No name to attach to the second worry. No number to call. Just more fear, stacked on top of fear that already had nowhere left to go. That particular fear turned out to be unfounded. Katie was never missing. She had left the island safely that day on a different boat.
She left the island safely that day on a different boat. She left the island safely on a different boat when Nolan Wells was supposed to have stayed behind to talk to her. So she got back safe, but Nolan, he didn't get back safe. All right, let's see where they're going.
And had been reachable the entire time. Confirmation of that came not from police, and not from Nolan's friends, but from her own mother, Gracie McCormack, who posted publicly to correct the record once speculation about her daughter started spreading online in ways she never expected. According to McCormack, her daughter was on Horn Island that day, spent time with Nolan, and the two parted ways sometime that afternoon. She says her daughter has no knowledge of anything that happened to him afterward. She said goodbye to him. She got on a different boat. She went home to a mother who had no idea at the time that her daughter's name would soon sit at the center of one of the most talked about cases in the country. If that were the whole story, it would end there, quietly, the way most small footnotes in a larger tragedy tend to end. It doesn't. Because attorney Ben Crump, representing the Wells family, says Katie's account of that final conversation is specific and hasn't wavered, and it conflicts directly with what Nolan's friends have said. According to Katie, Nolan told her he was planning to rejoin his friends and get back on their boat before they left the island. According to the friends themselves, Nolan told them the opposite, that he intended to stay behind on the island with Katie.
All right, so after Nolan had this conversation with the young lady, he told her, hey, I'm going back with my homies. I'll catch up with you. I'll call you when we get back to land. We supposed to have this popping party going on at whoever the friend mama house, the Jud's house. We got a party going on over there. Maybe we could hook up, link up, and I see you when we get there. I'm gonna roll back with the homies. But after he leave the young lady, he goes back to his homies. Supposedly he said, oh, I'm gonna stay with the female. So what is it? Did he talk to the female first? Or did he tell y'all he was going to talk to the female? Who do y'all believe? Y'all believe the young lady he talked to said, I'm going back with my buddies to catch the ride back to the house? Or do y'all believe his buddies who said, no, he told us he was staying with her?
Entirely by his own choice, in his own words. Both statements cannot be accurate. One of these two accounts is wrong.
Exactly.
And somewhere behind that single word, wrong, sits a family who has to live with not knowing which one it is. If Katie's version holds up, then something happened in the space between Nolan stating his intention to leave and the boat actually pulling away without him. Something interrupted whatever plan he had. Nobody has explained what. If the friend's version holds up, then Nolan made a deliberate, conscious choice to remain alone on a remote barrier island as his only ride home departed without him, which raises an entirely different question about what happened to him in the hours that followed.
That don't even sound like black people. We not fisted. Hey, I'm gonna stay back with no guarantee ride back home. We don't do that. Nah, we gonna get back on this boat. Hey, take me back to the land, man. We not about to stay on no island while everybody is leaving, not knowing how we gonna get back. Come on, man. Unless he got, unless him and the young lady went behind some trees or something.
Followed, alone, without the group he had spent the whole day with. This isn't a theory pulled from a comment section, or a claim built on speculation. It's a direct contradiction between two people who were both there, describing Nolan's last documented words in two ways that simply cannot be reconciled with each other. And right now, as of this recording, nobody, not the family, not the investigators, not anyone with the authority to say for certain, has resolved it. Nolan's parents are left holding two versions of their son's final choice, unable to know which one is real. There's a particular kind of pain in that specific uncertainty, one that's different from grief itself.
I believe the young lady. I believe he did talk to her, and I believe he told her, hey, I got to go back and ride with my buddies. That's what I believe.
Grief, terrible as it is, at least has a shape. It's the loss of a person you loved. But this is something else. The loss of even knowing your own son's last decision.
All right, so let's get up out of here. We're going to go over here and see about this friend who boat it was and see if he going to be charged if they go by the law. Let's check it out.
As more information comes out in regards to the mysterious death of Nolan Wells, it gives us more understanding as to what happened that day, as well as what could happen next. On Wednesday, it was revealed that Wells' parents and representatives would meet with Mississippi DA Angel Myers McIlrath to begin looking at the next steps into the case, as the DA would confirm she would now be presenting the investigation to the grand jury. Now, upon researching what we currently know about the case, Nolan's friend and operator of the boat can now be expected to face a series of charges under maritime law. For those who don't know, in general, maritime law is a special body of law designed to govern issues on sea. Every boat and boat operators are expected to abide by these laws or face punishment. Now, one of maritime law's biggest things stressed for boat operators is known as duty of care, which is a legal obligation requiring ship owners, operators, and employers to protect crew members and passengers from harm by maintaining a safe and seaworthy vessel. Now, one thing that looks to be going under the radar is that a passenger is technically considered anyone who left with you on a boat you are operating, and at all times you as the boat operator are deemed responsible for their safety.
All right, stop there. My buddy just told me this last night. They actually going out on the boat today at 1 p.m. It's 9:44 right now. I supposed to go with them. I want to do some coverage and ask them a couple of questions about being a boat operator, about being responsible for the passengers that you have on the boat. So I want to get some of that content, but let's see. This is supposed to be federal law. Let's see if they're going to abide by this, and let's see if the guy who operated the boat, owned the boat, is going to get held accountable for Nolan Wells not returning back to the boat safely.
Now, despite the circumstances that Wells supposedly wanted to stay, it still can be argued that he's still a passenger of the boat that would leave Horn Island at 4:30 p.m. And the fact that Wells was left with no communication, given that his phone was on the boat, makes things worse for the operator.
Exactly, because now he have no way to communicate with you, who he came with.
Again, a boat operator's responsibility is to return the specific passengers they brought out. Now, according to research, despite people being there on Horn Island, still does not fully excuse the boat operator from liability, but it can change the severity of the situation. Now, if it is proven that a recreational boat operator would leave Wells knowingly with no phone and a way to communicate for safety and still left, does confirm that that was negligent behavior on the boat operator's end, which for some cases that involve a loss of life, the operator can be charged with involuntary manslaughter and reckless behavior.
Let's see if that's going to happen. If that's the case, why he's not in custody at this moment? Because it's clear that the boat is his. It's clear that they rode out there with him. He didn't return back with you. Y'all had his cell phone. No way, a case of emergency, he could call. Y'all let y'all friends stay on the island. Didn't say, hey, we got your phone. His parents had to go get the phone from you guys. So, yeah, let's see if he's going to be arrested. He should be in custody right now based upon that, facing that involuntary manslaughter charge.
Now, another thing that would stand out for many is the already drinking that was proven to be taking place that day. Now, it has not been confirmed if the boat operator himself was drinking, but if he did, that would result in another charge known as BUI, or boating under the influence. Which is why for many, the sheriff's initial reaction to the incident, with no arrest being made swiftly, despite the viral picture of 18-year-old Wells and his
right there, like he got a slit malt liquor in his hand. Whatever silver can that is, I need to go to the liquor store and see what can that is in that silver can.
Friends,
I can tell the way he hold it, and that's some he lit wet like a dish towel.
Seemingly of the same age, holding beers in their hands, was not a sense of conducting a thorough investigation and made some feel that a cover-up was taking place. Now, in the state of Mississippi, the legal drinking age is still 21. Now, to tie it all together, if the toxicology report comes back and Wells was deemed intoxicated at the time of his death, it will multiply the boat operator's liability due to the effects of alcohol and judgment. One of Wells' friends, Tracy Shepard, who was assumed to be around the same age as Wells, would publicly confirm that there was drinking in an interview with ABC News. He said that he and his group of friends, which included Wells, had been drinking alcohol since the late morning. Now, going back to Wells being separated from his phone, in which his parents would point out was an immediate red flag.
All right, so that autopsy to say they found alcohol in his system. If he was doing drugs, they'd find that too. I don't think none of these guys are saints. I don't think that none of these guys, including Nolan Wells, I don't think that they all saints. They might have, 18. They might have had a little drink. We seen one, like I said, we just seen one guy with a can of beer. So let's see if that autopsy report is going to show under the influence of any drugs or alcohol or anything like that. It should show that.
If it is proven that the boat operator ultimately left with Wells' phone on purpose without Wells' consent, it can be viewed as a level of theft. To note, Wells' family had to reportedly track his phone down to get it back. So for some, it does not appear that his phone was willingly returned. As reported here, GPS and audio have now been released from that day. And according to an extended version of the toll call made, there were about 7 people on the boat, according to the boat's operator. Now, it is unclear what specific boat was driven that day, but upon looking up the boat's vessel number, it looks to be a 2000 Triton boat, which comes in different sizes. Now, if it was also discovered that the boat was past capacity, it can lead to another issue for Wells' friend and boat operator.
But you know all this, but the sheriff's department didn't know all this. You know all this, but the sheriff's department didn't know all this. I think the cell phone stayed where it was at, so it couldn't track the cell phone. Now, we got the boat GPS. We need the cell phone GPS. Yeah, that's what we need, because if we could determine that he wasn't left on that island and he, in fact, did get back on his boat and was at that party, then that's why that phone was left at that house. They had to go pick it up from that house, because if they moved that body from that party and took it back to the island, his phone would have showed that on the GPS. These guys is good with they covering up. Allegedly, this is my opinion. It's just me thinking this. I'm not saying this is per se what happened. All this is just my opinion.
Now, despite all these proven possibilities, the governor of Mississippi may have exposed himself as either not knowing maritime laws, or for some is trying to cover up the wrongdoings in this case. On Wednesday night, the governor of Mississippi would finally share his public reaction and would upset viewers by stating that he hasn't seen any signs of foul play with what he's seen so far.
I don't know all of the facts surrounding the case. I have yet to see a fact or a piece of evidence that suggests any foul play. But if there is, I feel confident that the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, the members at the Department of Public Safety that deal with these crimes, if there had been one, they will find it and they will do what is necessary.
Now, part of his statement, the governor would also confirm that he and Sheriff Ledbetter, who is leading the investigation, are really close. For many, the movement Justice for Nolan appears.
Oh yeah, they close. We already seen they all close netted. Everybody's tied in. He's not gonna go against the crew. Probably a small town where they have dinner, breakfast, lunch, hangouts, camping, things of that nature, man. So of course he gonna go along with the buddies. They gonna have to prove this, and if they can't prove it, all they got to do is be quiet.
Appears to be a cry out to a justice system that is supposedly to hold no one above the law, especially when people have been arrested and swiftly apprehended by police for lesser crimes. Nolan Wells will be laid to rest on Monday in Ocean Springs.
All right, so let's leave out of here. So y'all see what's going on. The female finally talks. She said Nolan Wells, in fact, spent time with me and told me he was going back to the boat to make it to land with his partners. His buddies said Nolan Wells said, I'm going to stay behind to spend time with the young lady. We seen videos where Nolan Wells was at the party. Somebody is, not telling the truth. I keep on seeing the guy that's hugging Nolan Wells. They both, that might be his friend. But he, if something did transpire, he's probably panicking out, freaking out. He's not going to say nothing. But the more the pressure stay on this, eventually somebody is going to crack. Somebody not going to feel good about the situation. They're going to get older. It's going to be eating at them. And then they are going to tell what happened. But I need all you guys to share this video. We back with this, the first video of the day on this Saturday. I need all of y'all to share the video, share it to your friends. That's all I'm asking. Subscribe to the channel, comment, and again, share. I'll catch all of y'all on the next one.
Like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, Compton Rec Rock TV. Also, hit that notification bell and catch every video when I drop.